Roseman University of Health Sciences wants to help students in the Clark County School District fully understand the realities of drug abuse and misuse. That's the purpose behind the Drug Abuse Awareness Team, which is a student organization that works with schools to deliver this message in the classroom. With us today is Dr. Crystal Riccio, who is the faculty advisor to the Drug Abuse Awareness Team, and Sherelle Nelson, a Roseman University pharmacy student pursuing her doctorate degree. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
So help us understand. So you go into primarily high schools, right? And you talk to all 4 years of high school, correct? What kind of topics are you covering? Give me an idea. Give me a sense.
We cover prescription medications, over-the-counter medications. We cover illicit drugs.
We've started covering alcohol and marijuana upon request from the teachers in the classrooms.
Right. I guess we should probably step back. You work with the teachers, and they're telling you, here's maybe how you want to tailor this. It's based on what they see. Is that what it is? Give me an idea about that.
Well, we have one school has more of a Xanax issue, so we address that more.
Okay.
We have ones that are more alcohol, marijuana, so we address that in their classrooms.
Okay. So. What seems to work with, I know having students go in is probably better than a parent or maybe some other authority figure, but what's the message that resonates with the students? What do you see? And from both of you, I'll give you the opportunity. Sherelle, what do you think? What resonates with them? What is it that where you see them go, I get it. Is there any?
I think it's because we don't necessarily say don't do it.
Right.
We more so say, here are all the facts, and you can make an educated decision on that.
Okay. How about you?
I think that really brings up a good point. When we started the Drug Abuse Awareness Team back in 2006, it was in light of the DARE program being taken out of schools because it was less effective with the authorities and the law enforcement officers in the classroom. And so it really was to put someone as a near age group into the classroom so they can relate better to the student body and make an impact that way.
Right. I want to let people know you were, when this program started, again, it's a student organization, the Drug Abuse Awareness Team, DAT, as I guess I've heard you guys say. You were a student in 2006 when this was created. I'm curious from you, how has this message, as the advisor, you're probably seeing, well, when I started, this was the issue. It's kind of gotten over here. Give us an idea what the issues are now that might be different than in 2006.
Well, if you think back to 2006, we were seeing the rise of prescription drug abuse. We also saw a lot of crystal meth abuse and addiction at that time. And so that's about the time that Crystal Darkness came out. We saw a shift away from methamphetamine abuse with the images and the real life portrayal of what meth can do to the body. Those were very graphic images that were real to the students. And so then along the years, we've focused more on prescription drugs of abuse, over-the-counter drugs of abuse. Now stepping into this era, we see legislation allowing for marijuana use in our adult population.
Right.
So kids have more access and they have questions.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Are you seeing that? I know one of the schools you went to, you said more of a Xanax issue, but are you seeing more influence among the high schoolers when it comes to marijuana? Because there's the availability, it seems like, it's legal if you're over 21, but I'm curious what you're seeing as far as influence.
Historically, it's always been statistically the #1 drug abuse in our adolescent population of high school age. I would imagine that we thought going into this new legislation that it would open up access. However, there's not really any great evidence to say that it has or has not. Unfortunately, we just don't really have that information as a state. I think it's important and really important that we go after understanding the students' perspectives and how that may have changed with legislation. Early research that we've done in the Roseman University Research Center on Substance Abuse and Depression have seen that impact, but that's very small populations in a pilot study.
Okay. So would you say that prescription drugs or non-prescription drugs or over-the-counter drugs are they all equally a big issue, or can you give me if there's something that's happening more often with one section of those drugs?
I would like to say that there's an issue with all of it.
Yeah?
any drug that you take, if you take it wrong, can potentially harm you.
Yeah.
So.
And what do they tell you about why they do it? You must hear this in the classroom. Why do they do it? What do you hear?
Sometimes they say, oh, so my friends do it, so I want to try it, and nothing's happened to them. So, and when I was younger, we had, or I didn't have, they had pill parties, and they would just take prescription drugs and just put them in a bowl and take them, just to see what they would get.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously this message that you're speaking with students, it's going to be geared to students, but I want to know what you would say to parents. Parents who, because I hear the issue of, get rid of medication that's in your medicine cabinet that you've had for 4 years or 5 years and you think no one's paying attention to it. You never know. What's your message to parents about this issue and what they need to be paying attention to?
Yeah, I think it's important for them to realize that the number one source of diversion for illicit drug use, whether it be prescription drugs, over the counter, or what have you, is from a family or a friend. So they're the number one drug dealer in the household is the parents or the grandparents that don't throw away their unused or expired medications and open up access to their teens. In that, we have really focused as a community event is to improve drug take-back events or proper drug disposal, proper drug storage. I think parents need to understand how to communicate and talk with their kids about it, because it's not something that you can just ignore. It's happening in their lives. You want to be the most impactful person in their lives.
Right.
So just open up dialogue.
Okay. Before we go, approximately how many schools do you go to in a normal year? Just ballpark.
It really is by invitation. So right now you're doing about 4 to 5 high schools throughout the year, where they go multiple times throughout the year.
Okay.
But we're really excited to do as many as want to have us out there.
And that's the perfect lead-in. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. If you would like to get more information about the Drug Abuse Awareness Team, we have an email for you, and they would, if you are a teacher or a parent, you have questions, or you want them to come speak to one of your classes, they are more than willing to do that. The email is rudaat@roseman.edu.